If you're a hobbyist, anybody can pull $3,000 together if it's important enough to them. The water feature hobby is open to anyone that's interested enough. But then there's no ceiling. I mean, there's multi-million-dollar water features out there. In fact, we got to see one when we were down there in Columbia at the Primavera Shopping Mall. It was one of the largest water features aquascape ever built. I think it was over $2 million. And it was literally, hands down, the most beautiful aquascape ecosystem water feature I've ever seen.
Hey, your name and the name of your business?
Weston Zimmerman.
Welcome to the Untrapped Podcast. I am your host, Keith Kelfus. What's up, guys? This is Keith Kelfus with the Untrapped Podcast. We have an awesome guest on today. We've got Weston Zimmerman from Tusse Landscaping. This guy is an expert at landscaping, building ponds, water features, like huge, tremendous projects that it's just amazing. When this guy comes on and the things that he talks about, it's going to kind of blow your mind. If you are in the services industry, and whether you do landscaping or not, because primarily that's what I do is landscaping. When I met this guy, I just couldn't believe it. We met at the Logan Paul Pond Build, the aquascape event at Logan Paul's house, and I was fascinated. There was a whole bunch of guys there, an entire team building this pond out. But when I met Weston and I saw his passion, like he was literally positioning each individual rock so the water would flow certain ways, and then they went and they put these like koi fish in there, and then I learned that ponds are actually the highest ticket, highest profit thing you can do in somewhat the landscaping field, and it just blew my mind. This guy's very knowledgeable. He knows exactly what he's doing. And then, so he's going to teach us a bunch. He's going to teach us how can you think about getting into that, the resources, where you would look, and just paint the whole picture for you. And then also, he's developing a new software product because he sees a massive problem, a challenge in the industry with numbers and the data. So, a very smart guy. What's up, Weston Zimmerman?
What's up, Keith? Thanks for having me.
Bro, so you're doing the marketing for the business, the team that you're part of. You've got like nice cameras and everything. You're full on social media, so you understand the business, the application, like doing the actual work and the art part of it, but also the media part of documenting it. You've got amazing videos, and I'll put the links below so people can see your YouTube channel, the videos that you're creating. And tell us not only about the ponds, but I want to know about, you just got back from the Amazon rainforest, bro?
Yep, literally just got back like 24 hours ago. One of the most epic trips of my life. So... and also, I remember we were trying to get to the Hollywood sign in California. Yeah.
It was you and me, Blake Albertson from B&B Lawn Care, and Stanley Genetic. It was the four of us all hanging out, bro. And... So, tell us about the Amazon rainforest real quick, and why you were there and your trip with...
So, I was at Pondemonium last year, which is the annual aquascape event for the pond industry professionals, and Heiko Blair is one of the speakers there. Heiko is a kind of freshwater fish hobbyist, explorer, scientist. There's a word for it, ichthyologist or something like that. I can't even spell the word, but there's some kind of word for like the aquarium fish study and hobby. This guy he's approaching like 1,000 expeditions in his lifetime. Basically from the time he was a little kid till now, he's 74 years old. He's just nonstop going on expeditions over the entire world. I don't even know if there's a country he hasn't visited yet. But anyway, so at Pondemonium, I was just edged in on this conversation, and they were talking about a future expedition he was going on in Colombia into the Amazon rainforest, and it instantly got my interest. I'm always looking for kind of a unique opportunity like that, so I was probing around a little bit. It was expensive to go, but long story short, they personally invited me to go, and I was like, well, if I'm going to go, it's not just going to be a fun vacation for me. I'm going to make bring something home with me, So my goal was, if I'm going to go down there and film a documentary. Heiko has an amazing work, but from a marketing standpoint, he's had a tough go of just getting some traction. So I thought maybe I could have some fun, get some awesome content that almost no one else gets to shoot, and help a guy out. So it ended up being it was a trip of a lifetime in so many ways.
Dude, that's amazing. I would love to go to the Amazon and also would freaked out, afraid of catching parasites or something.
We were in the water. Basically, all caution was thrown to the wind, man. And once you get there, and that's one of Heiko's things. He said, with the media and the movie industry, everybody thinks the jungle is out to get you. And sure, it's like any other wild or nature. I mean, things can happen, but it's like going in the woods in my backyard here in Pennsylvania. I mean, sure, there's bears in the woods in Pennsylvania. Well, there's whatever in the Amazon rainforest. It's just, but it was actually, I came home with it. You fear what you don't know, and I came home. There's really nothing to fear, and if you're smart about what you're doing.
That's a good point, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the pond thing now, like I remember we were at Logan Paul's house in his backyard. You were obsessively just so passionately engaged in the art, and I'm like, well, how do you tell the customer what the pond is gonna look like if it's all natural and all the stones that show up are all different sizes and all that stuff?
Right.
And this was probably a $35,000 pond you guys built. Just talk about the whole pond thing. Just brain dump on us that whole process, how much they are,
Yeah, I mean, you can do a water feature. Our smallest water feature is for $3,000. So if you're a hobbyist, anybody can pull $3,000 together if it's important enough to them. So really, the water feature hobby is open to anyone that's interested enough. But then there's no ceiling. I mean, there's multi-million-dollar water features out there. In fact, we got to see one when we were down there in Columbia at the Primavera Shopping Mall. It was one of the largest water features aquascape ever built. I think it was over $2 million, and it was literally hands down the most beautiful aquascape ecosystem water feature I've ever seen. It's just gorgeous. I did take some images. I'll put them up I'll put some on my Instagram. You guys can check it out there.
What's your Instagram handle? Because you guys got to show this. You sent me the pictures on my phone yesterday of this $2 million pond, and I was like, what? Yeah.
So Tusse Landscaping is our company Instagram. Just Tusse.landscaping.
TUSSEY.landscaping.
Yep.
And you guys got to check out.
Yep. So check us out there. And I throw some stuff up on my own, that's the company link. My own handle's Accent Media Films. Just Accent Media Films. So if you want to check that out, I put some more stuff on the trip on there.
Wait a second. We were in a YouTube vlog together in a video in California. And let me know in the comments below if anybody saw this. We were driving in the car in California, and I said to speak something because you said your wife is from a different country.
Romania. Yep.
Yeah, and I said, well, speak in Romanian. Like Stanley Genetic was in the back seat with B&B, and so you started speaking in Romanian, and I was laughing, and then somebody in the comments who knows how to speak in Romanian said that you said some pretty nasty shit to me.
Yeah, no, that guy didn't even know Romanian. I engaged him in the comments later, and he ended up confessing. No, he didn't know it. He just made that up.
I don't know. I thought it was funny, but that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Because I like to put people on the spot, man. Say hello, how are you doing, and hello to my Romanian friends.
Ciao, cum ești? Ce mai faceți?
All right, awesome. That's enough. I won't bug you no more. Okay, so with the pond thing, so ponds go to $3,000 all the way up to $2 million so far we've talked, right?
Yeah, yep. Now our bread and butter, like the average water feature is, I would say, between the $10,000 to $30,000 mark. That's the main chunk. That's where 80% of our water features fall into. But you were asking about how do you describe it to the customer? How do you sell this? Because to be honest, this is one of the more ambiguous pieces. Especially if it's something you're not super familiar or super experienced with. It's like, how do you draw it on a design? Well, it's a blue circle on a paper. You can't really draw much beyond that. So how do you convince someone that this is something that they would love? Because essentially, if you can't get your customer to see your vision of what you're seeing in their backyard, you end up asking them for a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 check, and they're not even sure what they're getting. So you got to understand it from the homeowner's point of view as well. But what we do to try to combat that and try to help people, everybody has a different level of, some people have a really hard time envisioning something that doesn't exist yet. Others can see stuff, when you're talking about ideas, see it in their heads. But what we do to help people kind of get a solid perspective of what they're buying is actually put water features in the ground in displays. We have over a dozen displays in an hour circumference around us at local public places, restaurants, farm markets, landscape garden centers. That's really the most solid form of marketing, and
Is proof.
Yeah, it's proof. It removes. It's proof of your ability, because it really is something there's a level of art that's in it. It's not like you can pull a tape measure out and check it for correctness. How do you check a water feature for correctness with a tape measure? Well, if you're checking a patio, you know whether it's built correctly or not, based on the pitch and the slope. It's a lot more difficult to do that with water features.
You just made me realize something. This is an entire industry that generates, even a lot of landscaping in and of itself it's a luxury service, and you're just honoring the beauty of nature and then creating an ecosystem in somebody's backyard.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they can...
Basically what we're doing, so we were in the Amazon where we were going to visit aquatic biology at its root in untouched nature, right? So what we're doing for a business back here in North America is we are building a pond that works and functions the same way as nature does with a natural ecosystem. There's no chemicals in these things. They're perfectly safe. In fact, they're much, much more safe than even your standard backyard swimming pool. Chlorine is not good for you. And one of the biggest rages we've been seeing in the recent year or two is people being more and more interested in recreational swimming ponds as opposed to your traditional chlorinated swimming pool.
That's interesting. I like it. So, if the average pond that you're what's the average ticket price on a residential pond? A customer wants this thing installed, you visit the property, what do you close the deal on? And how much materials does it take? What's the cost? What's the overhead? What's the profit margin? What's that all look like, the average ticket?
So, we have two different lines of water features. One we call the Simplicity Series. The other one we call the Premier Collection. The Simplicity Series is basically 10 grand and under. It's a budget line of water features. It's still as functional and as beautiful. We use a locally sourced rock, so it's cheaper than the beautiful mossy rock that we get from the Ozark Mountains in Missouri for our Premier Collection. That's just one difference that makes it cheaper, but some people don't really care about that, so that's fine. And then we have the Premier Collection, which comes with all the bells and whistles. It comes with the underwater lights. It comes with the automatic dosing system. It comes with larger, more capable filtration systems. It's when you're buying a Premier Collection water feature, it's the Cadillac. Whereas the Simplicity Series, you might compare more to an Impala or whatever. But the Simplicity Series ranges from $3,000 to $10,000. The Premier Collection ranges from, let's see, I think it's from 12. Yeah, it's from $12,000 to $30,000. And the $30,000 pond is a 16 by 21 pond with a 12-foot stream. That's the large $30,000 pond. And like the smallest pond we sell in the Simplicity Series is a 7 by 10 with no stream. It has a waterfall but no stream, and it sells for $6,800.
So say somebody wants to take a look real quick on Instagram or Facebook, and they want to see examples of all pictures of these ponds. Where would they look?
So we have our best documentation and images of these on our website at TusseLandscaping.com. Just go underneath.
Sweet.
Yep, just go underneath the services, water gardens, and everything's there. Facebook is just called Tusse Landscaping, and we have tons of photos on there of projects, in construction, finished projects, beauty shots of ponds we built, all kinds of stuff on there. And our YouTube channel. We've been really active on our YouTube channel the last 6 months or so. So.
Nice. I saw on, I think it was Greg Whitstock, one of the guys in Aquascape. I know him well. I just can't think of his name in this second. He's a cool guy. He's our age, wife and kids, pond business. He turned his whole backyard into a pond as an example, and Greg was there. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yep. You can really do whatever you want. I mean, there's no cookie cut. I mean, obviously we have what we call a pond menu, which you could liken to a cookie cutter menu of ponds, but they can be as customized and as intricate as you're willing to spend time on them.
Wow. So a pond that costs $35,000. The customer wants this done. What's the profit margin on that if you do it right? And you've been in the business a little while.
We shoot for a 10 to 20% net. Now, a lot of people tend to get a little confused when you talk about profit margins because there's two very different numbers. One's gross, one's net. Gross is what you take home at the end of what you take home at the end of the day, but you haven't paid for your operational cost to run your business, your overhead. Net is the profit that's left over after all of your overhead expenses are covered, like the tires on your trucks that you use to get the materials to the job site. All that stuff is built in. So we shoot for a 10 to 20% net profit, and everybody's numbers are probably going to look a little bit different depending on the structure of their business. So we have a fairly large gap between our gross profit percentage and our net profit percentage because of a larger company with a large amount of overhead, so that gap is bigger. But if you have a smaller company, you may have the gap may be tighter. You might be shooting at 30 to 35% net and 50% gross or something like that if you're doing really, really well. Really? That's definitely possible.
Awesome.
It's definitely possible. I mean, Aquascape preaches a 50% gross profit is industry standard. And the net is whatever, take out your operational cost to run your own business the way you have your business structured, and that ends up being your net.
So just to be clear, on 50% gross profit margin, what you're saying is that...
I think I lost you.
When,
You still there?
Here, 1 second. Technical difficulty.
I lost you there for a second. I got you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I got you again.
All right, so just to be clear, on a 50%, and do you see me in the screen moving?
No, the screen froze a while back, but I can still hear your voice.
That's fine. And then just to be clear, on a 50% gross profit margin means you take the entire cost of everything and then times it by 2?
So yeah, you would take your cost of your labor and your materials. So all the materials you bought plus the labor you paid your guys, and don't forget your labor taxes, your labor burden. Not just if you're paying a guy $20 an hour, it costs you or company more than $20 an hour to pay him. To have your taxes and stuff done. So if let's say that your materials and your labor cost $10,000, then yes, the pond sticker price would have been $20,000. Now your overhead comes out of that $10,000 profit, so your true profit would be, let's say you have another 25% in net overhead costs, so your net profit's 25%, so your actual profit would be $5,000 out of a $20,000 pond, which is very, very achievable for sure.
Sweet. And say you're, how long does it take you to install a $35,000 pond? Because I watch you and a group of like 17 guys do it all.
Yeah, that probably wasn't a good
12 hours.
That probably wasn't an accurate representation. No, we install our 16 by 21 pond, which is a $30,000 pond. That pond has 5 working days, so 1 week, and that's the largest one. Our 11 by 16 is 3 working. Now, keep in mind, these are premier collection ponds. All right, these are the ones that we have more labor built into, so we can get more artistic in the construction, and we get fancier and whatnot. And now, so here's just for example, our 11 by 16 pond in the premier collection, we take 3 days. Our 11 by 16, well no, it's 10 by 14. We just made it a little bit different. 10 by 14 pond in Simplicity Series, which is very, very similar in size and in spec, takes 1 day. That just goes to show how much more time and effort we spend on our premier collection to really make it a true masterpiece, as opposed to just your standard ecosystem pond. It's very beautiful. It works just the same, but we don't spend as much time on the artistry, and because labor is expensive, so we're trying to get the cost down to have an economical option for people that prefer that. And so, you take the almost the same size pond from a 1 day install to a pond that's just slightly larger to a 3 day install. And the only difference is the type of rock we're using and how much time we're spending on really making it a true masterpiece.
I thought that was so cool when I saw that you guys dug the hole and then you took the dirt from the hole and you put it up on the ledge to make this whole thing, and then you came and you put all the rocks all around and the liner and then like installed everything, and it was like, just to watch it happen was so cool. And I was like, oh, you guys didn't even use a machine?
No, that project we didn't have a machine on. Now, and when I started at Tusse, we didn't use machines hardly at all either, but thankfully times...
You mean you were digging holes in the ground with shovels?
Oh yeah, yep. And we're in Pennsylvania, so we can run into limestone, shale, slate, whatever, But
dude,
these days we find it to be more efficient. Our production goes up high enough, enough that it makes it worth having equipment on every job. So we have an excavator and at least like a dingo, which is like a mini skid loader type thing, on every pond project like that. that's what
Sweet.
allows you to build a pond in a day. I mean, you can build a pond in a day by hand. We've done it, but I'm telling you, physically, yeah, you feel it. You do that for 10 years, you'll feel it. So get a machine.
Dude.
Get a machine, guys.
Moving boulders around. So let's say a guy wants to get into installing ponds, and he starts out with $3,000 to $5,000 ponds, and
Yep.
How does he even get the ball rolling
So
he doesn't
I would suggest that you don't build your first water feature as a pond. I would suggest doing a few fountainscapes first, because you don't need a piece of equipment to do a fountainscape. You can even do a pondless. You don't really have to have a piece of equipment if your rocks are small enough to build a pondless.
Real quick, I just want to insert.
Yeah.
I got a client who has a very, very small pond in front of his front porch, builds up to the wall in a garden bed, and he wanted us to excavate it and get rid of it, fill it in with dirt, make it a garden bed again. I was like, sure, I'll make some money off this. $1,000. We'll do this in 4 or 5 hours.
And then what?
Dude.
Did he do it?
Oh, dude, no. Anybody watching this? As is above, so is below, bro. We were down there pulling just rocks after. There's another one just pulling so. I had to get to the point where I couldn't even get the liner out, and it was muck and goop. And I was like, oh, dude, it was a mess. So I literally had to just cut out the liner the best I could because I couldn't get the last piece. I had to leave it in the ground, dude. I literally couldn't get it out, and we did the best we could. And the job was fine. We were just excavating a pond. But, boy, I worked for that $1,000, bro.
Yeah, ripping out a pond without a machine is not fun. I can personally testify to that.
I mean, because you're literally taking... So, anyways, keep going.
So, anyway, where was I? I was talking about...
Fountainscapes.
Oh yeah, how to get started. Yeah, I would recommend doing a few fountainscapes first because you can do them with a pickup truck and wheelbarrow and a few hand tools. That's all you need. Same with pondlesses. Ponds you can as well, but they're a bit more. You want to get your feet wet in a few smaller water features, so you kind of get the concept of how everything falls together and how doing a pond is like maybe a high school level or college level type water feature as opposed to a fountainscape, which is maybe elementary school, because pondlesses and fountainscapes don't necessarily have an ecosystem. So as long as you set the thing up and you get water running and you don't have a leak, you were successful. With a pond, if you don't get your filtration right, if you don't understand what is needed to get it right, you can create. That's why there's people out there that hate ponds, because they tried to build a pond and it wasn't built right. It was constantly green. Well, there's a reason for that. It wasn't built properly, and then they hate ponds for the rest of their lives. You have one bad experience and they never want to touch one again. That's very common in our industry, but it's not because ponds are a pain. It's not because ponds are hard to maintain. They are not if they are built properly. So the other thing I would recommend too is, if you're interested, is get in with the Aquascape Academy, which Greg Whitstock does out at the Aqualand in Chicago. I think 5 months. Basically from November, or maybe it's even October through April. Maybe it's 6 months, I forget. But go to Aquascape Academy in Chicago, and they teach that's basically set up to help existing landscapers or whoever wants to get into the pond business to get their feet wet in the industry, to understand the technicalities behind building water features and doing them properly and serving your customers well. And then the other thing is the annual Pondemonium event in Chicago every August. Those two events, if you're interested in getting into ponds, I would suggest for sure hitting the Aquascape Academy before you get super serious about installing water features, just so you know what you're getting into, and just so you're equipped with the knowledge you need to not have a bad experience right out of the gate. Nobody wants to. I don't want to recommend doing ponds to someone if they don't have the knowledge to do them properly, because if they don't have the knowledge to do them properly, they're going to do it wrong, and they're going to have a pain, and they're going to hate it, and that's not what we want to do for the industry. It's kind of a common trait that we try to combat in the aquascape industry.
Awesome. I'll put all the links below this as well,
Yeah.
to all the pond related videos and all that stuff, so you guys can check that out, because I mean, that's pretty sweet. Now let's say people think, well, nobody in my town wants me to build a pond. How would I find customers that would? So would you be pretty surprised how in demand it is, or can you actually create the demand?
Well,
how does that work?
I'll just tell you a little bit more about our company. We live in Greg Whitstock says we live in Podunkville, PA, and we literally live 2.5 hours from the closest major city. We're not in a big city market. We're in a working class blue collar market in Altoona, State College, Johnstown, and Bedford in Pennsylvania, and we live in the Appalachian Mountains. Average income here is $35,000 a year, so you get the idea. But we have been Aquascape's top customer worldwide out of 70,000 customers twice in the last 3 years.
Wow.
So that just goes to show. I mean, and that's because we are now a mature business. We've been doing water features for over 20 years. That didn't happen overnight,
So when you say products, are you buying pond liners and that black spray stuff and the pumps and all the actual
That's right.
the equipment and the filters?
All the equipment, the biological filtration, the pumps, the liner, the plumbing, everything. Yeah, the lights, the dosing systems. All of that is Aquascape product that we buy in. The rocks we source ourselves. The rocks and gravel we source ourselves. Beyond that, it all comes from Aquascape.
So cool.
Yep. But anyway,
wow.
So now, if you're in a new market and there's no one else even in your market doing water features, and you're like, I don't even know if people want water features. Well, first thing I would do is find a local garden center that is willing to work with you, and just put in a little fountainscape or a little pondless. Or if you're comfortable with it and you feel like you have the knowledge, or you did do your homework and you feel like you're ready to build a pond, put a pond in. If you're in a market water features is one of those things that people don't know that they want it until they see it. It's a luxury, like we said. It's not something that you need to survive. But once you see it, they're so beautiful that there's always a portion of the population that just gets drawn in and just loves the natural ecosystem in their backyard and the fish, and it's like having a 365 days a year enjoyment source in your backyard. So putting in displays where people can see it for themselves, and then have a sign there with your contact information, put a little brochure stand there, whatever it is, whatever you can work out with your local garden center. That's what I feel is the best way to get started from ground zero.
That's smart, dude.
Yep.
Dude, I've seen a couple ponds and they're so beautiful, man, with like the rocks, and you can hear the water falling and crashing into each other, and the fish are swimming, and there's even a bridge, or it's just it's soothing, it's relaxing,
Totally.
It's peaceful. And
when we were down there in Colombia, the most fun experience I ever had with ponds in general was they have I don't even know how many fish in that pond. Koi, they had an arapaima, they had arowana, they had catfish. I mean, I'm talking that arapaima was like 7 feet long. If that thing would have decided to take you out, you wouldn't have had much of a chance. And we were swimming with these fish in this pond. We had goggles, and I had my underwater camera. And
oh, really?
Yeah, we were swimming with the
cool.
the fish, and that was the most fun thing. Like if I obviously that was a huge water feature, a big expense, but that if you could have that in your backyard, that would be like a heaven. That'd be like a resort, man. It's just so soothing to be swimming with the fish, come up to the waterfalls, watching the bubbles, and it's cool, really cool.
That's so cool. It's a whole lifestyle, this thing, that you, because you build ponds and you love it and you're passionate about it, that it's opened up all these other doors and avenues, and it's found, like, you just seem happy right now, dude. That's sweet.
Yeah, and like I was saying, like swimming in that pond was like swimming in an aquarium, literally. It was super awesome.
That's awesome. So you got this this frustration that grew with business and the tracking the numbers and the metrics, and I know there's CRMs, customer relationship management software programs, there's QuickBooks, data analytics, but you have a new angle on this thing, and you're coming up with something. I'm interested in that. So
5 to 6 years ago, we got serious about implementing systems and processes in our business to get more efficient, to eliminate mistakes, and just to improve our process of doing business for our customers' sake, for our own sake, with management and scheduling, and also for tracking our numbers so we know when things aren't the way they need to be. And we've been through the gauntlet. We've probably been using between 6 and 10 different pieces of software in the last 5 to 6 years. And truth be told, there's a lot of really, really good softwares out there. There's no doubt that They're very polished. They do very, very good. But the challenge is they only serve one factor of the business. So, for instance, there's a lot of CRM softwares out there that are very high-end, that do a very good job, but they only do CRM. Or you have another few softwares that we've used that do a good job at scheduling, but they do zero reporting. So you don't even, so maybe you scheduled your job successfully, but you have no idea, or it's a very difficult process to find out what your numbers were on that project, or what your numbers were in that segment of your business, say water feature segment of your business in the past year. So, and so if you're going to dig in and find those numbers for your business so you can make smart decisions instead of just shooting in the dark, you need to know your numbers. And if you don't know your numbers, you're kind of up the creek. So what we ended up doing was using 4 or 5 different softwares just to function. So we have one for scheduling, we have one for CRM, we have one for our budgeting and our back-end numbers. And what happens is, so now we are answering all our needs, but it's very inefficient. It's frustrating because you end up having double and triple data entry. Some information's over here in this program, and the other information's over here in that program. You have to pull a report out of that, and you end up spending 3 days to try to get some numbers together so that you can actually find out how you're performing. And it's just very frustrating. And when we first started using softwares, the idea first entered into my head probably 5 years ago.
So you're creating a whole solution for this. You're building an entirely new software.
We're building an entirely new software from the ground up, and the vision of this project is to answer the need that we see that exists, and we're going on. We're talking with you just to find out and confirm in our own minds that this need actually does exist for more people than just ourselves, and that is that people want an easy, systematic way to run their business without having to use a half a dozen different softwares and different systems. And they want a piece of software that not only serves just one portion of the business or just that portion of the business, but they want their sales guy, they want the owner, they want the foreman, they want the owners of the company, they want the service technician of the company, the office staff of the company, all to use the same system so that all the data is living in one system. And when all your data lives in one system, it is unbelievable how powerful that is and what kind of reports you can pull, what kind of decisions you can make on actual facts. Numbers are facts. It's not like, yeah, I think we did okay, we probably don't need to raise our pricing on this. No, down to the penny, or down to the 0.01% of where you ended up at. And the other thing is like a lot of softwares tend to be a little clunky, so we're actually hiring professional user experience designers to make sure that this thing is as easy to use as possible. And the last thing we want to do is release something that's very complicated and very good at what it does, but it's like flying a rocket. You have to go to college for half your life to learn how to fly it. Well, it's not our goal at all. We want to create something that's as simple to drive as driving your car down the road, but it performs your functions. And we don't want to create something that creates many manual processes for you where you have to you have to remember to enter that information. No, just the very act of going through the workflow, entering the customer information when the first time they call, marking off where they heard about you, creating the estimate. Just the very act of going through the workflow, selling the project, managing the project, clocking your time in on that project, then generating the costing report of that job. Just the act of going through that workflow is going to collect the data along the endpoints along the way, and that data will then generate the reports that you need to know your numbers and know where you stand and know what kind of marketing has been successful for you and whether it makes more sense for you to spend money on marketing on Facebook or versus Google or vice versa, because you'll be able to see based on your history exactly maybe your cost per acquisition, or that's a fancy name for how much it costs you to get a new customer from Google is way less than what it costs you to get a customer on Facebook. Or another example, maybe you're getting way more leads on Facebook than you are on Google, so it looks like Facebook is better, but maybe only 10% of all those leads on Facebook turn into a paying customer, and 80% of your leads on Google will turn into paying customers. So there's a lot of layers to this information, and we're setting out to make this
what I'm hearing you say.
It
sounds like you're saying
as simple as
seamless
possible,
and integrated. So
everything is integrated, and right now, we're calling it synced up. We're still working with a trademark attorney to make sure that name is available and all that. But currently, we're calling it synced up.
So right now in your brain, thinking about this, and moving this process forward, do you already have an idea of who it's for and who it's not for?
Yeah, so we're starting, obviously it takes a lot of time and effort to build what I've been describing, right? We are currently using version 1.0 ourselves in our own business, and we're actively building version 2.0. We have teams of developers in the US, Australia, and Romania working on this, but we're working on building 2.0. Once we have 2.0 done, we'll be ready to accept beta users, tester users that are interested in the product and would like to come on. And we're going to be seeking out companies that are similar to us first, so that we can ensure that we are meeting that industry's need first. So landscapers, anybody that has that logs their customers' information, that creates an estimate, sells a project, tracks the time and materials that go into that project, and then wants to know what their financials ended up being on that project. Anybody that does that process in their business can use this. So eventually it could get as broad as home builders, garage door, HVAC, but for the beginning, we're going to be starting out with pond professionals and landscapers, and we'll grow into those.
You're
as
a
we
visionary.
grow.
Always bet on a visionary.
Yep, I am.
I follow this dude named Kyle Cease, and he was talking about Elon Musk, and he was telling the story how he's like, listen, Elon Musk, people might say crazy things about him, but he's a visionary, and your bet is always safe with a visionary, because they're the people that make reality. Like, it's basically like when you were talking, I just saw it all coming into play, and I could see, like, dude, when somebody has an idea and they're set and they're focused and they're passionate, like, just watch what happens in 2, 3, 4 years when this whole thing is reality. And then it's weird how the tables turn, man. Do you got it all mapped out in your head? Can you see it helping companies and organizations right now? It's clear to you?
100%. Yep.
It's beautiful.
My brain is living 5 years in the future.
What's the website? I'll
Definitely.
put it in the link below.
Yep.
So they can.
Yep. So the website right now is getsyncedup.com. You guys can go there and you can sign up to become a beta user. You just enter your name and your email, and that'll just entering your name and your email will sign you up to become a beta user. Once we have the beta version of it ready,
but
we'll
why should people even bother
and,
checking out? I know you
get
said
set
that's
up.
all the features and benefits it has, but why should somebody check out your software, your website, versus what they're already doing or thinking about? Like, what makes you different or better than the other ones? I know that you said it, but just kind of like.
So, sure. So to me, in my experience, there's some industries are better served in softwares than others. And if you're going to buy an off-the-shelf software, which is what we're building, an off-the-shelf software for your business, if you can get it to meet 80 to 90% of your needs, you've done really, really, really well. If you where it becomes a real struggle is if it's only meeting 50 to 60 to 70% of your needs, and you're forced to find some other ways and other workarounds to deal with it. And what happens is the software industry, developers they're usually built by development teams and investors, and so they see a problem out in the industry somewhere, they say, let's build a software to fix that problem, and they do, and they may do a very, very good job at it, but they only solved one problem. Our vision is to not solve one problem. We want to create an ecosystem where within the entire company operates, so that you have all your data in one place. You have systems and processes mapped out for every role in your company, whether it's a service technician or a foreman or an owner or sales staff, whatever it is. And we're creating something that's not solving one problem, say a scheduling issue. We're creating something that everybody in the whole company works within, and it's not weak on any one of those fronts. It's strong for the owner. It's strong for the sales guy. Our goal is to create a software that everybody in the company, it's their favorite thing. We don't want it to be like typically what we've seen in the softwares we've used up to now. Maybe the sales guys love it, but the foremen hate it. Or maybe the office staff love it, but the owners can't
you know what the
find
biggest thing was?
Whatever it is,
I kind of like, even though I used
So-
Android phones, I love Apple and Steve Jobs, and he did something that revolutionized, and he created a new user interface that was extremely fun and friendly and easy to use. The interface is so important to people and I know that you understand that, and
Absolutely.
Dude, I like it, man. You got guts. So, and I like when you were talking about, you said all of your data in one place, synced up. Like I was seeing headlines and the marketing for it.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I'll put a link below. Syncedup.com,
yep,
correct? With the K.
Yep.
GetSyncedUp.com.
That's right.
SYNKED.
GetSyncedUp.com. It's like with GetSyncedUp.com. Yep, that's correct. And the other thing we'll be doing, I don't have it set up on the website right now, but I will in the very near future here, is we're going to be looking to our beta users to actually offer suggestions and insights as to features that they would like to see. So we're not only building a software to meet what we see as an industry need, we're giving you the opportunity to speak into this project, to speak into this effort, and become attached to it, take ownership. You have the opportunity to speak into this software and have a voice as to what features get built. And just reiterating something I was saying, if you buy an off-the-shelf software and you meet 80 to 90% of your needs, you've done really, really well. That's true. Even custom software, it's tough to get beyond that 90 to 95% mark because you're never done. Even when you're building custom software exactly how you want it, you almost never can get it to be 100% perfect for everything in your company. It's just so there's kind of some give and take. The workflow is set up in the software, so there may be you may change the way you've done something slightly to adapt to the new software, or if it's significant enough and important enough, you can speak into this project and give us an idea of a new feature that you'd like to see built. If you're going to buy this and you're going to use this in your company, you'd like to see this feature. And we're listening. We are all ears. That's why we're coming onto your podcast. That's why we're visiting other people making public appearances to find out what are the needs that you guys see that you don't have a good answer for right now. And the other thing is that is kind of visionary at this point, but something else that I would like to do that would make us different is most softwares you buy it, that's what you get. There's no possibility of tweaking it or customizing it for yourself. That's because development is very, very expensive. But what I would like to do is, here's our software. But if you're serious about a certain specific feature that you really need for your business, we want to offer the ability for you to customize our software to your own system and your own. So maybe you're using some extra third-party software for who knows what, and you want that to tie in, or maybe you use a different accounting software than QuickBooks or whatever it is. We want to give you the ability to, we'll obviously look at your need, and we would take up a discussion with you and find out what exactly you're looking for, what kind of effort it would take. But we want to offer this software as, here it is out of the box. The door is open for discussion and negotiation on how we can customize it, make it even better for you. Because if that would have been an option for us at Tusse Landscaping with the softwares we were using, we would have never arrived at this point. If we could have taken the softwares we were using and spent a little bit of money and customized them to kind of fix the couple things that were majorly wrong for our company, we would have never even arrived at this point. So that's something that we see as a opportunity to be different and an opportunity
necessity is the mother of
invention.
So that frustration of that pain point drove you to say, I'm going to create a solution for this.
Exactly, and not just for ourselves, but for we feel that if we're feeling the pain, I'm sure there's other people that are feeling the pain.
All right, so we got Weston Zimmerman from Tusse Landscapes in Pennsylvania. You're an aquascape certified contractor. You're expert building ponds, and not only do you do the social media and marketing for the business that you're in, you also now are creating an entirely new software called Synced Up. GetSyncedUp.com. That's going to be a complete, all-in, comprehensive, integrated, seamless solution. All your data in one place. I'm a marketing guy. And, dude, I'll put a link below. Anything else? What are you drinking there? What is that? That's a bad I like that. Let's show me that cup, dude.
Coffee from my
Dude,
new
that
mug
looks like
in,
it was like handmade
Colombia.
or something.
I just brought it home.
I love a good cup of coffee.
That probably
was.
It looks
Recommendations
like
on good coffee?
Yep. I actually brought some new Colombian coffee home to try, but I typically use, Tim Hortons or there's also a local guy here that sells some coffee
Wow.
directly sourced from Honduras, which is really, really good. So I don't even know what the name of it is. I just buy it from this local guy.
What's
I'm
your
a coffee
Instagram
guy.
handle?
I go through lots of it. So Tusse Landscaping is the Tusse.landscaping is the handle for our company. My own handle for my filming and the stuff I do, like I did there on with Heiko and the
Accent
Amazon.
Media Films. What's the one that you
Media
showed me
Films.
where you went in that plane? It was like from 1937 just last weekend. Dude, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Go to Accent Media Films and
Yeah,
look at
that
the
was
picture
Accent
of him
Media
in that
Films.
plane. You're like, blah, but it's from 1937 and it's beautiful. Like, I wouldn't be flying in 34.
1934. Yep. Yeah, that was one of the coolest experiences on that trip. Getting to be in the cockpit of a DC-3. That was awesome.
And then meeting you
that
in
was
person.
A once in a lifetime
where
moment
where
there.
can people meet you in person? I mean, like
So,
live events.
Our
to go
company
to
is
the live
based in
events.
Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania. Sure. So we always go to Pandemonium in Chicago
when is the
every
next
year
one?
at that annual event. So if you want to meet me, that is in August. Let me see here.
Man, I really wanted to go to the last one in Chicago, the Aquascape, and and I had so much going on, I didn't make it. I heard it's awesome though. It's so much information about building ponds.
I understand. Pandemonium is hands down the best event in the pond industry. There's none other like it. People from all over the world, Australia, Europe, North America. Obviously, most of the people from North America, but they're there from other continents as well. 2019,
Sweet.
It's August 21st
Yeah.
and 25th. St. Charles, Illinois. It's about a 30 or 40 minute drive from the airport. So.
All right,
So
great,
yeah, I'll
man.
be there.
It was great having you on the show, and I'll put all the links below to all his stuff and to Tusse Landscaping. And then if I'm going to be at a Pandemonium event, because I do want to go, and I see you, you got to be in the vlog, man. You got to come say hi to everybody. But do you make your own vlogs? Because I know I've seen your videos. They're amazing. They look like short films. Do you vlog at all?
Yeah. So we got more serious on YouTube for Tusse Landscaping in the last year. I wouldn't call it vlogging. Well, I guess you could call it vlogging. So basically, what our mission for YouTube is to provide videos that show going from before, during construction, to the final product beauty shots. And so people can get a perception and an idea of what it looks like, what the disaster is in the middle of a large project, and the result of that. So we've been cranking out videos showing that time-lapse videos of projects. And then I do some what you could call vlogging as well, like on the job site.
Listen
type
to him,
videos,
guys.
narrating
What he's
we're
doing, you're doing the future of marketing on
and-
social media. You're showing before, during, after. You're building a story around each job, right?
Yep, and because we probably, you could call us a high-end landscape services company, and so our pricing is often much higher than maybe your closest competitor. So people are not buying us for a price point; they're buying us because of our skill level and our ability. And you have to prove that somehow. You can't just like wave your arms in the air and say that we're just better. You have to prove it somehow, and this is our proof. Our online content, and this just seeing that consistency
Tusse
again and again and
Landscaping.
again, an amazing project coming out in someone's backyard. Yep. And then we show some cool stuff too, like as far as YouTube vlogging. I've done an effort in the last year or so to create some high-end looking content for
this
just
is
videos
dope. Dude,
of who we are. Which
you
is a
design
video,
all these thumbnails
which
too?
is a video I think everybody should have.
Look at this. Bro.
Yep.
Nice time-lapse landscape makeover with pond. Blake's Exotic Animals gets a pond. Oh wow, I see the time-lapse. The music. Yeah, you got it all tagged and titled, and
Yep.
this is... It's beautiful.
Only one way to do it. Let's do it right.
Wow. I'm going to be watching this. Go subscribe, dude. Top
You
shelf,
bet.
bro. Okay, man.
Yep. If you want to find us on YouTube, just search Tusse Landscaping. We'll come right up.
All right, man. Thanks so much for being on the Untrapped Podcast.
Cool.
And once again, guys, you could find this podcast on your favorite podcast app. Just check it out, whether it's iTunes, Anchor FM, SoundCloud, Libsyn, any of those. Just go there. You can listen to this. If you don't want to watch the video version, you can listen to it while you work. So, thank you so much. And we had Weston from Tusse Landscaping. And check out his software, getsynced.com with the K. I'll put a link below. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace. Thanks, Keith.